FM.
Celebrating its 50th season, this is the Luther Ford Lincoln Coaches Corner.
And this is week 2. The Luther Ford Coaches Corner here on AM 1450 WDAD, also 100.3 FM. Tune us in on the U92 Sports Channel as well. It is a Saturday morning, week 2 of the high school football season. Ward Hilliard, boy, they scored a lot of points across the Heritage Conference last night.
That's one of the comments I made to Coach Burdick showed me some of the scores coming in. Amazing. Defenses are non-existent right now.
Crazy. It is absolutely crazy. We're having a microphone difficulty here this morning. We're going to try to work this out as this morning goes along, but obviously that mic is not really strong, and they're telling me the other mic is out, so I've got 2 people and 1 microphone. All right, let's do scoreboard, shall we? Last night, Heritage Conference scores. We've got a bunch of them, of course, and at the top of the conference, the teams that are still undefeated. Northern Cambria beats Salzburg by a score of 50-13. West Shamokin 22, Marion Center 14. And the Ligonier Valley Rams over Penns Manor 48-8. First win of the year for Homer Center. They beat Purchase Line 50-22. And United gets its first win with a 57-28 win over Blairsville. Some amazing performances last night. Man, the points that were scored across this conference. Wow. Westpac scores. Myersdale 30, Blacklick Valley 26 last night. Portage beat North Star. Oh, it's a typical Mustangs game, 62-0. Cool boy. Conemaugh Township 42, Berlin, Furthers Valley 21. So CT looks like they're going to be okay this year. Shade and Conemaugh Valley playing last night, 12-0. The game was suspended because of lightning. They'll resume it at 7 tonight. Did you have lightning last night at Purchase Line?
In the distance we had prior to the game, we saw a couple.
Yeah, we had.
And that kind of passed, so we were fortunate.
We had a whole bunch of lightning at Ligonier Valley. Fortunately, it was distant as well, and the officials said, let's keep going. So they'll resume that game at 7 o'clock tonight, Shade and Conemaugh Township, with the Panthers leading at 12-0. Windber at Ferndale this afternoon. WPIAL, the Big 8, AAA, West Mifflin over Indiana 35-0. Indiana will play Ringgold on Friday night at Ringgold. They lost 62-0 to Thomas Jefferson last night. Greensburg-Salem 41, Trinity 13. Out of conference games, Bell Vernon, a 43-0 win over Ambridge, and the other Big 8 team, Laurel Highlands, a 35-13 win over Albert Gallatin. District 6, Bellwood Head 47, Glendale 6. Tyrone with a 33-13 win over Central. It was Claysburg, Kimmel, and Williamsburg, 28-0. They called the game due to weather, and Claysburg Kimmel gets that win. Bald Eagle area 46-14 victory over Phillipsburg Osceola. Bellefonte beat Huntington 10-0. East Canton, Ohio over Bishop Carroll last night, 35-6. Where are the Huskies going to play East Carroll, Ohio? Yeah, East Canton. Yeah, you're probably right. Tussey Mountain 32, Everett 13. Forest Hills a 34-14 win over Bedford. Another final call due to the weather. Chestnut Ridge 22-0 over Johnstown. West Branch 35, Moe Valley 20. Juniata Valley 38-20 over Mount Union. Penn Cambria with a 32-3 win over Central Cambria. How about the Panthers? They've started with 2 straight. Richland 35, Cambria Heights 6. Looks like Richland is loaded. Somerset 19, Bishop McCourt 16, Southern Huntington in a game played on Thursday night, a 33-28 win over Northern Bedford. And today it's Westmont Hilltop at Bishop Guilfoyle. Other schools in action last night, Karn City beat Punxsutawney 42-22. Armstrong a 29-15 win over Hampton. Derry 19, Freeport 13. And today Apollo Ridge will play at Summit Academy. All right, so there you go. There's your scoreboard today on the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program. We're going to try to work out this microphone issue that we have going right now, try to do some things during the commercial message and see if we can't get Ward big and strong, because he needs to be to go through this morning's program. It is the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program, celebrating our 50th season here on AM 1450 WDAD and 100.3 FM.
The summer sales event is in its final days, and Luther Ford is celebrating with extra savings over the Labor Day weekend. They'll be open Labor Day Monday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
For more than 61 years, Luther Ford's been your family-owned, community-minded, good neighbor Ford dealer.
And whether you're in the market for a car, truck, or SUV, new or used, Luther Ford has you covered this Labor Day weekend.
Take advantage of huge savings and fabulous incentives on America's top-selling brand with 0% financing on most new models.
Plus, if you're in the market for pre-owned, due to a huge volume of trade-ins, Luther Ford has something for everybody.
Luther Ford's award-winning Master Certified techs are the best in the business, and the service department now features extended hours on Monday nights and Saturdays.
Hey, if you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, you gotta make it to Luther Ford this weekend for their huge Labor Day sale. Remember, Luther Ford will be open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Labor Day Monday, and they invite you to stop by for some complimentary burgers and dogs.
Luther Ford, Route 119, Homer City, and open 24/7 at lutherford.com.
Grand Beginnings Children's Center would like to announce they are enrolling children at both of their locations, South Bend Franklin Road and Grandview Avenue in Indiana. Grand Beginnings Children's Center accepts children from birth through 5th grade. Grand Beginnings Children's Center is a Keystone Star 4 center, the highest ranking among Keystone Star facilities. And they have a PA Pre-K Counts classroom. They're open Monday through Friday from 6:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Visit grandbeginnings.net or schedule an appointment to find out more.
Cancer can strike any part of a woman's reproductive system. In America today, a woman is diagnosed with gynecological cancer every 6 minutes. Sadly, they are often not aware of the symptoms of reproductive cancer and do not find out about it until it is advanced. On Thursday, September 13th, the Indiana Regional Medical Center's Dr. Dan Clark and OBGYN Dr. Quanice Hurdle will host Until There's a Cure, Cancer Prevention for Women at 6 p.m. at the Rustic Lodge. Please call 724-357-8088 to reserve your seat today for this important event. Ladies, with regular screenings, self-examinations, a knowledge of your family history, and certain lifestyle adjustments, you can increase your chance of defeating gynecological cancer. Please make that call today. It's free, open to the public, and complimentary refreshments will be available. Until There's a Cure, Cancer Prevention for Women at the Rustic Lodge, Thursday, September 13th at 6 o'clock. Presented by the Institute for Healthy Living at the Indiana Regional Medical Center. Call 357-8088 today. It's the Luther Ford Coach's Corner program. AM 1450, WDID 100.3 FM, also on the U92 Sports Channel, 8:07 in the morning. We're going to start it with the United Lions in their game against Blairsville last night. Boy, what a night for Kyle Silk and his Lions teammates as they come away with the big victory over the Blairsville Bobcats. And our Chuck Clark had the game last night on Cat Country 106.3 FM. Let's find out what happened.
Well, here at Memorial Stadium tonight, it was all United Lions as they outscored the Blairsville Bobcats. 57-28 was our final score. Big night for United quarterback Kyle Silk. All he did was score 7 touchdowns tonight, run for over 200 yards, kick a couple of extra points, and lead this United team on to victory. Coach Abditori, well, they got up early. Kyle Silk, a 4-yard touchdown run in the first part of the first period and got ahead 6-0, and from there was no catching this United team.
Well, there's no doubt about that, Chuck. He is a dominant force. He runs well. He sees the field well. He's got a lot of speed, too. He's got the size to back it up. You can see by his kicking ability tonight, he's a very strong athlete, but he ran through 0 opposition. And there's no way to define or explain that. Defense is 95% wanting to do the job and about 5% ability. You know, you're going right, you're going left, you're going straight. You got to run and you got to want. And right now, we don't have the mix out there to do that properly, and it's going to be a constant quest to try to find it.
2 Kyle Silk touchdowns in the first period made it 14-0 United. For Blairsville, Josh Coaches with a 16-yard touchdown pass cut the lead on the 2-point conversion to 14-8. Then Silk with a 4-yard touchdown run, a 9-yard touchdown run in that second quarter. Adam Ratkus, a 20-yard touchdown catch and pass, made it 29-14 at halftime. Silk added 2 more touchdowns in the third quarter. Actually, he added 3 more touchdowns in the third quarter to give him 7 on the night. 49-28 was the United Lion lead in the fourth quarter. They led at the end of 3 periods, 43-20. But on the other side, Sincere McFarland, over 100 yards rushing for Blairsville tonight.
Yeah, Chuck, I thought he did a really nice job. He stepped out, made some people miss him. He still took some shots, but he stepped out of some good tackles. He showed some good power, good poise. He's still learning the game. I'm very proud of what he's done, and I see him only getting better and better. And, sooner or later, we're going to need him on the defensive side, too. I know right now we need to keep working with him as an offensive threat, but he's an athlete. We need him.
For the Bobcats, quarterback Devin Burkhardt passed 32 times, completed 14. He threw for 4 touchdowns. He had 2 of his passes intercepted. So a lot of offense as United defeats the Blairsville Bobcats for the final score of 57-28.
All right, there's Chuck's wrap of the game last night. Afterwards, he's able to catch up with the 2 coaches, and we'll start with the Lions head coach, Kevin Marabito.
Kevin Marabito, the head coach of the United Lions. You come into Blairsville, a 57-28 victory. And, boy, where do we start? There's the obvious that we're going to talk about, but what about those guys up front for your team tonight?
I'll tell you what, they were possessed tonight, Chuck. I mean, they just blew holes open for those backs. I mean, Kyle and Hunter. I mean, Kyle had one heck of a game, and Hunter wasn't too far behind him. I mean, it all starts up front. I mean, that's what you always talk about. They don't get the glory, but I'll tell you what, tonight they proved what they could do up front. I'm very proud of what they did, and they just kept pounding on them, and that's that was our motto. We gotta keep pounding, and when you open holes like that, it makes running easy, and it makes play calling a lot easier too. I mean, we didn't run many plays. I mean, we ran probably 2 plays, but when you can't stop it, you just stay with what you got.
Coming off the loss in the opening week last week, how intense was the practice getting ready for Blairsville from those linemen? Were they determined to have a better night?
Yeah, they were. But I'll tell you what, Chuck, I was concerned coming in because we didn't have a real great week of practice. It was, I don't know what it was. They were kind of loose, but, the offensive linemen, they knew what they had. I mean, our offensive line coach, Brett Marabito, he put the challenge to them, and they rose to that challenge. And, as I said, when you get holes open like that, it makes it pretty nice.
Well, that offensive backfield certainly had an outstanding night. Your quarterback, Kyle Soku, who I said is built more like a fullback or a strong running back, 7 touchdowns tonight, plus the way he kicks the football.
Yeah, I mean, he's an all-around athlete. I mean, we didn't use him defensively tonight. He was just on the offense, but when you run like that, it's possessed. He is a big boy. He's strong. I mean, he committed to the weight room over the summer, and once basketball was over, he come in every day, and you can tell the way he's running right now. But his kicking all along, we said he has one heck of a leg. I mean, it makes it easy for the kickoff team because you're starting to the 20, and that demoralizes another team. You got to put together an 80-yard drive, but you got to give Blairsville some credit. They marched the ball up and down the field on us at times.
Well, there were 7 times in the game that his kickoffs had Blairsville starting from their own 20-yard line.
Yes, and that's the weapon. I mean, when you can get a weapon like that on a special team, that's an advantage right away. I mean, and that's a credit to Kyle. I mean, once again, he committed to the weight room, plus he committed to doing some kicking over the summer, and it really improved. I mean, Eric Dixon, our special teams coach, worked hard with him, and his leg is just tremendous right now.
Also a good night from Hunter Cameron tonight.
Yes, Hunter's another one. I mean, he's the grinder for us. I mean, he's the type of player, and you love to have those types. He doesn't care if he scores, touch the ball. He even asked towards the end, "You want us to go back in?" We pulled him out, but he was just having fun, and that's the key. I mean, he's only a sophomore. Last year he took his licks a little bit, but he's running real well, and that's a credit. I mean, when you got a 2-pronged attack, which guy do you really stop?
Your defensive backs had to face more than 30 passes tonight. How would you grade their performance?
I'll tell you what. I mean, we had a lot of young kids in there when they scored those couple. I mean, we had some inexperienced corners, but I'm very happy the way our secondary played. I mean, we knew they were going to throw the football. You know, they did their job. The keys that we gave them all week, they did it, and you know that's a credit to them. I mean, I put the challenge to the defense. I know we gave up 28 points, but you know, you look at 2 of those touchdowns was, you know, an interception down at the goal line that they ran in. It was a short drive, you know, and they had that fake punt and get in there right before the end of the half. But, you know, overall I thought our defense, you know, rose to the occasion a little bit. You know, we gave up a few more yards than what I want, but that's the type of defensive effort I like.
Too many penalties from both teams?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we told the kids at halftime. I mean, we killed ourselves. I mean, we had too many, you know, holds, you know, couple offsides penalty, but the holds were killing us. I mean, and you can't do that. You know, when you get into big ball games, you know, penalties, you just can't. You can't have that. And you know, that's something we got to clean up this coming week.
Now, what does a performance like this do to you as you get ready for your next game?
Well, I think it gives us some confidence, Chuck. I mean, that was the biggest thing. I mean, last week, you know, we didn't have a great week, but you know, now the offense sees what they can do if you get things moving, and you know. It makes it a lot more fun going into practice this week because they know it works if everyone does their job. And tonight, you know, everyone chipped in and did their job.
Besides the cramping because of the heat tonight, were there any injuries that give you concern?
No. Luckily, we get out of it pretty much injury-free. We had a young defensive back got his shoulder a little bit, but other than that, you know, nothing major.
Well, Coach, congratulations on this bounce-back game.
Thank you, Chuck.
Kevin Marabito, head coach of the United Lions. They win at Blairsville 57-28. Todd and Ward,
all right, Chuck, and we move on next to the head coach of the Bobcats, Rick Artley.
Luther Ford Lincoln Coaches Corner. United defeated Blairsville 57-28. Coach Rick Artley, Kyle Silk put on quite a show here tonight.
Yeah, he's a great athlete, and obviously their offensive line dominated our defensive line, and you know, they just played downhill all day, and we had no way to stop it. And when that happens, you give up 57 points.
That's a big obstacle to overcome when there's that big of an advantage on those offensive and defensive lines. That makes it tough.
Yeah, it does. They control the line of scrimmage, and again, it doesn't matter what kind of athletes you have back there. If you can dominate the line of scrimmage, you're pretty much going to win every game that you dominate the line of scrimmage, and that's what they did tonight. You know, they got beat up pretty bad last week up front by Northern Cambria, and I think they came tonight ready to prove a point that's not the norm, and you know they did a nice job.
Did the start of this game resemble last week at Penns Manor? They got out to a quick lead, but then you came back with the touchdown, and Devin Burkhardt had a pretty good night passing the football, and you trailed at 14-8 in that second period.
Yeah, you know, we left them get out in front last week. We got the lead early and then let them take the lead back, but you know, it was one of those deals where we got to take care of the ball better. We have to match their scores. We can't turn over the ball, and that's something that we did again tonight.
Was it a breakout night for Sincere McFarland, just a running back that's a freshman?
Yeah, I think he's going to be good. I think we made some changes in the way he was attacking the line of scrimmage, and it showed tonight.
Now, your wide receivers had some nice catches, also on some two-point conversions. Adam Ratkus, Josh Koshers, I thought they played a pretty good game.
Yeah, they did. You know, they are two good athletes, and that's what we have to be able to use those guys and have success with them. You know, they've done some nice things for us in the first two games, and we got to continue to get them the football.
Now, when you're undersized like you are, what things can you do during practice to get ready for the next game to try to close that gap?
No, that's not going to, you know, bottom line is when you're undersized and you're outmanned up front, it's going to be tough to do. And the big thing you got to do is play your own gap and do your things that you're supposed to do. And there was several times where we got ourselves out of contain and they just got on the edge. Even when we had opportunities to make plays, they made big first downs because we did not do what we were supposed to be doing, and we're not, you know, doing things that we're not coached to do. And until we continue to do that and start to build some mental toughness, this is the one thing that I've been harping on the entire season. You know, we get in a little bit of a letdown, and all of a sudden we start to fall apart. And these guys have to understand football games are long. there's a lot of times where you're up big and lose, and there's a lot of times where you can be down and still come back. So you have to understand it's not a game that's going to be over in a few minutes. You get down early in a game, it's not the end of the world. You just got to take care of your job and continue to do what you're coached. And right now, there's a lot of us that are just trying to do our own thing or trying to make plays on the opposite side of the ball, and it's just not going to happen. You're not going to run things down from the other end, but half the time when things go the other way, something's coming back, and we're not there to be in position.
Was the number of penalties a concern?
Yeah, I wasn't happy with that. We had a couple motion penalties, a couple holding penalties, and again, I think tonight was more difficult conditions than last week. There was a lot of cramping on both teams, and that's just something that this time of year you gotta battle through, and you got to take care of all week long. You can't worry about it, last night or the night before. You have to take care of it all week, and do your best to keep hydrated. And on nights like this, it runs right out of you. So it's understood, but we got to continue to battle and work hard in practice.
Finally, Coach, beside the cramping, any injuries of concern?
No, I don't think so. It seemed like we got out of there pretty good that way.
Rick Hartley, the head coach of the Blairsville Bobcats, as Blairsville beaten by the United Lions 57-28. It's our Luther Ford Lincoln Coaches Corner program. Todd Mord, back to you.
Thank you so much, Chuck. It is the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program here on WDAD AM 1450, WDAD, and 100.3 FM. And I'm just doing an experiment here. We're having a microphone difficulty, and I've sent Ward down to the other studio to see if he can pick us up down there, and we can pick him up from there. Alameda 1, are you in there?
To Alameda 2, I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, there you go. Beautiful. So Ward is going to be able to join us after all. How about Kyle Silk and United last night? Ward, 7 touchdowns that Silk is able to account for. You don't do that without a whole bunch of help from your teammates, huh?
It's early in the year, but it seems that these teams that have these skill players, if you make a mistake or you don't score, they come right down the field and pop it in there. And we saw that in a Homer game, and certainly 7 touchdowns for Kyle Silk. A phenomenal night for that young man.
Absolutely. So the Lions get their first win of the season. We move on. It is the Luther Ford Lincoln Coaches Corner program, AM 1450 WDAD, 100.3 FM. Also this morning on the U92 Sports Channel. You want to listen on your computer, go to u92radio.com. It's 8:22.
The summer sales event is in its final days, and Luther Ford is celebrating with extra savings over the Labor Day weekend. They'll be open Labor Day Monday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
For more than 61 years, Luther Ford's been your family-owned, community-minded, good neighbor Ford dealer.
And whether you're in the market for a car, truck, or SUV, new or used, Luther Ford has you covered this Labor Day weekend.
Take advantage of huge savings and fabulous incentives on America's top-selling brand with 0% financing on most new models.
Plus, if you're in the market for pre-owned, due to a huge volume of trade-ins, Luther Ford has something for everybody.
Luther Ford's award-winning Master Certified Techs are the best in the business, and the service department now features extended hours on Monday nights and Saturdays.
Hey, if you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, you gotta make it to Luther Ford this weekend for their huge Labor Day sale. Remember, Luther Ford will be open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Labor Day Monday, and they invite you to stop by for some complimentary burgers and dogs.
Luther Ford, Route 119, Homer City, and open 24/7 at lutherford.com.
If your weekend has started with a strain or a sprain, a sports injury, concussion, even a fracture, an ankle injury in Friday's game, an elbow injury from that wobbly ladder, if you've been hurt, visit the IRMC Physician Group Saturday morning injury clinic from 8 a.m. to noon at the Human Motion Institute, Suite 100 on the Indiana Regional Medical Center campus. Walk-ins welcome or call 724-427-2260 that morning to let them know you're coming. On-site x-rays available. The Saturday morning injury clinic is open every Saturday from 8 a.m. to noon, Suite 100 at the Human Motion Institute.
It is the Luther Ford Lincoln Coaches Corner program here on AM 1450 WDID 100.3 FM. And as well, we are available to you at the U92 Sports Channel, u92radio.com. So we did the Ligonier Valley game again, or rather we did the United game against Blairsville, the 57-28 victory for the Lions there. Other games of great interest to us today. Northern Cambria played Salzburg last night, and the Colts had to bust out some offense. A game that was fairly tight. midway through that first half, but the Colts come away with a 50-13 victory over the Salzburg Trojans. Logan Ongst had 2 touchdown runs in this game, including on the very first play from scrimmage, he went 55 yards. So you think you're pretty well set up when you're able to do something like that. He made a great catch from 30 yards in the football game as well to set up another touchdown by Ben Vasso, who had a 9-yard touchdown catch, and people probably still talking about that catch by Ongst. They also got Derek Beer with an 85-yard touchdown off a kickoff return after Dylan Cindric had scored from Salzburg, and boy, that deflates you, doesn't it, Ward?
Oh, my goodness. The problem with Salzburg, and everyone, it's pretty well documented. You have 17, 18 kids dressed. You get a hot night like it was. You're going to get tired. I thought we were getting the early scores. They were giving Northern Cambria a pretty good game, but I think they just run out of gas, and that's going to be an issue for them, I think, throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, it really is. It's going to be something for them. The Trojans not able to keep themselves in that football game, despite the fact that they really fought hard and forced Northern Cambria to do something beyond what they game planned, and Coach Sam Schutte and his troops had to switch it up. That's good coaching. You see, they're taking something away, and in this case, it was simply jamming that box full of football players and saying, "Okay, you're not beating us on the run, so let's see what you can do through the air." And Coach Schutte recognizing that and says, "Okay, we'll do our best that way," and it worked out for them.
Yeah, it's a good move, and that is the name of the game. We saw a little of that again in the Homer game. I'm sure you may have saw some of that in the game you did, but coaches need to adjust to the way the game is flowing, and they certainly did last night. We had 3 games with teams that scored over 50 points last night. We're covering right now, and that used to be big news, but it seems to be the norm now.
It really is. All right, so let's hear from the coaches involved in this one. Sam Schutte and the Northern Cambria Colts get the victory over the Salzburg Trojans by a score of 50-13. Sam Schutte, head coach of the Northern Cambria Colts. The big win over Salzburg last night. Coach, that was probably tight a little bit longer than you wanted that game to be last night, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And we knew we were going to be in for a game, and Salzburg came out and prepared, and it was a little tight there, like you said, before half there. It was a good game. It was definitely a good game.
Coach, you had a lot of big plays, and again, you're able to showcase the fact that you've got some real athletes that can move around that football field, and they're smart kids. They know what to do with the football in their hands.
Yeah, and Salzburg came out prepared to stop our run game, and they did a very good job of that. I said, I don't know how many yards we had, but we didn't have very many, and we had to go to other options, and I thought our guys stepped up and rise to the occasion. I'm really proud of how they did that.
Well, that's one of the interesting things about the football game was that, when you have guys that are big and experienced up front as you are and experienced backs, maybe they don't expect that somebody is going to be able to be effective against your run game, and you have to adjust on the fly. How did the guys react to the fact that things weren't exactly going the way that they wanted to early in the game?
Well, I honestly think they were a little frustrated at first because Salzburg really stacked the box, and there was just more guys there than we had to block. And they communicated that to me really early, which was something that we always work on with communication. And it was very apparent that the ground game wasn't going to be there right away. We needed to do other things. So it was nice that they were able to communicate that to me and to each other pretty quickly.
Yeah, and Logan gets that touchdown run 55 yards right off the bat for your team. And sometimes the teams could say to themselves, all right, that was so easy that we're not going to have a problem the rest of the night. And that's when things do crop up because you might lose a little bit of an edge. But you have that versatility. And boy, it must be a comfort to you to have a guy like Mark there to quarterback because he said, okay, well, then we'll do something different.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Mark has really come along in many regards this year. The pass game was something that we always needed to work on last year, and I think Mark's confidence was a little shaken last year, and it wasn't anything that he did wrong. When things go bad, you kind of just lose your faith a little bit, and it was something we really tried to build up this off season, and it was there last night. I mean, because it was right evidence that Mark's like, all right, we got to spread them out, we got to pass the ball, And it was like, yeah, you're right, we do. And it was just right on key with what we needed to do. And that's what leaders do, and that's what Mark was able to do last night.
And that's one of the interesting things about it. When you have a team that is stacked up against the run like that and it turns into a pass play, well, that puts a little extra pressure on your offensive linemen because now they have to pass protect against all those guys up there in the box. And it sounds like they were able to do it, and Mark was able to have enough time to pick out a receiver.
Yeah, and like I said, it was just a very good team effort offensively last night. The guys knew what we needed to do. We were prepared for it, and we just kind of flipped the switch to a pass game, and we were able to kind of, pick up some yards we needed and kind of take advantage of how they were lying to us.
Swing it around, Coach. Tell me about your defense last night.
Defensively, we knew we were going to be in for one. Salzburg's just a big play team, and they have the players that are capable of taking it to the end zone on any given play. And it was kind of a game that you just knew big plays were going to happen, and it did happen last night. We fell short. There was two big plays that we gave up. One was a pitch pass, one was a deep play. And our guys just didn't play their responsibilities, and that was disappointing in the beginning. We were just out of position, and guys just trying to, guess and do things they shouldn't do. But at halftime, we really kind of made a good cohesive effort to get back to what we needed to do, stick to the game plan, reiterate the game plan, and I thought our guys really did. The second half came out and played a different game defensively.
It's pretty good for a football team, too, that when a team scores against you, you pull that momentum right back out of their pocket and put it in yours with a kickoff return. Yeah,
Derek Beer came up big for us last night, and that was one of those things that I actually did talk to the team about that and told them that, hey, if we can take this momentum away from this team, it's going to be a much easier night for us. And we worked on special teams a lot. Kickoff return was one we did work on a lot. And film study and things like that. We thought that we had an advantage there. And before the kickoff, I said, guys, we can take this one to the house. We just got to pick up our blocks and do what we need to do, and Derek will take care of it. And he did. It's one of those things where he's just one of those athletes that you're just really happy to have on your team. He showed that he can come up with some big plays.
Yeah. Well, okay, so now you're going to turn it around. You're going to play against the West Shamokin, and you guys have played a couple of really good, hard football games the last couple of years against them. They're a challenge, aren't they?
Yeah, and I told our guys, this is going to be our barometer. It's one that you mark on your calendar every year. Like you said, the last two times we played them, they double overtime one year, down to the last minute the next time. So if you want to be a championship team and be a quality team, you got to beat West Shamokin, and here it is, week 3. So our guys know what their task is, and they know they have to have a good week of practice, and just come out and play ball and see what happens.
Everybody will be looking at that game on Friday night. Coach, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
There's Sam Schutte of the Northern Cambria Colts with the victory last week. They're now 2-0, falling to 1-1. Mike Leisure and his Salzburg Trojans. And the head coach of the Trojans is Mike Leisure, joining us here this morning. Coach, your football team came out and you caused a few problems for Northern Cambria last night and maybe got into their heads a little bit defensively. You really came out hard against them last night. It's just that's a team with a lot of weapons, isn't it?
Yeah, we made some adjustments there. Their first play from offensively, they went about 60 yards for a touchdown. But after that, we made a couple adjustments, and we're able to do some things inside that held them down a little bit. But overall, they have weapons everywhere. So you can stop one thing, but then they'll go another direction, and they're able to make plays.
And you've got a quarterback that can throw the football over the field, and their quarterback, Mark Marino, they made a great adjustment and went up top last night. When you have a quarterback as such as you do, and Coach Schutte has one such as he does, teams that can adjust, they have a real advantage.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Marino, with that part of his game now where they can throw the ball, they are extremely tough, and they'll spread you out now a little more than what they used to. So when you add that in, they're going to be a tough team to compete with this year.
Got a couple of touchdowns from Dylan and Josh with, of course, a Josh type of effort. Your guys are always going to be undermanned because they're going to have to go both ways, and we know that. And they're always going to get to the end of the football game, and they're going to be gassed. But man, you have to be proud of that effort.
Oh yeah, definitely proud of the effort. When Dylan caught he had a touchdown pass that he caught, and had a run in for a score. First half, we're in that game, 21-13, but that we had the kickoff return against us that hurt us. Just little things like that, and then the end of the half, they hit a deep ball down the field. So, you're pretty happy with the effort, to be in the game with those guys going into halftime. And the kids fought through the whole game, the second half. Nobody quit. So that's all I can ask for.
Well, yeah, and, you talk about things that turn around the momentum, a play at the end of the half, a kickoff return, those sorts of things that can really deflate a team. And yet your guys, they hung in there the whole way. So you're going to turn around. You're going to take on the Blairsville Bobcats on Friday night, and this is a really special rivalry, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a good big game. Last year we were able to beat them, but there's two different teams this year, and it's going to be a tough challenge. I know they had a couple tough games, so they're going to be ready to go. They're well coached, so it's going to be back at Salzburg. It will be a tough game, but I think our kids will be ready.
Take me inside the hallways of the school during the course of the week, because you're there, and then through the practice schedule. But what's it like among the student body, the sort of buzz that goes during Blairsville week?
It's going to be exciting all week. The kids, they walk around, they're excited. Practices will be amped up a little bit. It's a big week, for the kids, the students, student body. So we just got to focus on what, we can do. We had a ton of mistakes last night, ton of penalties, a ton of defensive blown assignments. So we just got to focus on what we need to do and get ourselves prepared for Friday night.
All right, Coach. Well, we'll look forward to that one. That'll be on Cat Country 106.3 FM. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you. Take care.
Mike Laisher and the Salzburg Trojans as they fall to Northern Cambria 50-13. Ward Hilliard, Northern Cambria Colts. Well, they're one of those teams. They're right up there near the top of the Heritage Conference. Everybody's pointing at Ligonier Valley as the team to beat, and they certainly are. And Northern Cambria once put themselves in position that when the Ligonier Valley week comes along, they're able to get there and be just as undefeated as Ligonier Valley expects to be.
Yeah, they've got the high expectations, and well, they should coming into the season. They've got a great backfield. If they can shore up their defense, they can give the Ligonier Valley Ball Club a run. I think it's still a major adjustment that all these teams are going to need to make when they play Ligonier. They've got to find ways to slow that team down, and secondly is find a way to move the ball against them. Hasn't been an easy task so far through 2 weeks.
So big rivalry week for Blairsville and Salzburg within the same district, of course, and the two schools, when they get together on a football field, on a basketball court, it's always special because they have separate sports teams in that district. The Blairsville and Salzburg teams, in a lot of the sports, they're combined. But this is a chance for the Salzburg kids and the Blairsville kids to square off against one another. They might be teammates in another sport, but they're opponents on the football field on Friday night.
Yeah, they know each other well, do they not? And it is exactly what you say, an intense rivalry. Neither likes to lose to the other. And both very proud traditions, Todd, and I think that enters into the mix, and that's what makes the game so interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun next week to see how that one plays out.
Absolutely it is. It's 8:38. It is the Luther Ford Lincoln Coaches Corner program. We're going to turn next to the Indiana High Little Indians as they played their second game of the season last night with their injured coach. And Jack Benedict was there. That's next. It is the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program celebrating its 50th season here on WDAD AM 1450. 100.3 FM, and online today, the U92 Sports channel at u92radio.com.
The summer sales event is in its final days, and Luther Ford is celebrating with extra savings over the Labor Day weekend. They'll be open Labor Day Monday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
For more than 61 years, Luther Ford's been your family-owned, community-minded, good neighbor Ford dealer.
And whether you're in the market for a car, truck, or SUV, new or used, Luther Ford has you covered this Labor Day weekend.
Take advantage of huge savings and fabulous incentives on America's top-selling brand with 0% financing on most new models.
Plus, if you're in the market for pre-owned, due to a huge volume of trade-ins, Luther Ford has something for everybody.
Luther Ford's award-winning Master Certified Techs are the best in the business, and the service department now features extended hours on Monday nights and Saturdays.
Hey, if you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, you gotta make it to Luther Ford this weekend for their huge Labor Day sale. Remember, Luther Ford will be open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Labor Day Monday, and they invite you to stop by for some complimentary burgers and dogs.
Luther Ford, Route 119, Homer City, and open 24/7 at lutherford.com.
In sports, athletes are looking for that competitive advantage. So where do you find it? At Forged Human Performance Center. Forged Human Performance Center is the area's premier source for sports performance training. Train with an experienced and certified strength and conditioning coach to help improve athletic skills like speed, agility, quickness, and strength while reducing the likelihood of injury. Sports performance training at Forged Human Performance Center. Conveniently located on Route 119 in Homer City, or go online at forgedhpc.com.
The Luther Ford Coaches Corner program celebrating its 50th year here on WDAD, AM 1450, 100.3 FM, and this season on the U92 Sports Channel, U92Radio.com. 8:40 in the morning now. 20 away from 9 o'clock. We're in the second quarter, if you will, of this morning's program, all the way till 10 o'clock and Jukebox Saturday with Tony Michaels. Last night, the Indiana High Little Indians with the victory, or hoping for the victory, as they played West Mifflin, their first conference game of the season for the Little Indians. How did they do? Well, let's find out. Here's Jack Benedict.
Well, it was all West Mifflin, but it wasn't for the whole game, as they defeated Indiana by a score of 35-0. It was only 7-0 at the half. Indiana's first possession, they turned it over. They had 4 turnovers in the game, 3 interceptions and a fumble, as Brian Johnson had a pick of quarterback Harkleroad. West Mifflin started at their 23 to 7:55 mark and promptly drove 77 yards for a touchdown. Parrish Parker had a night. The first of 4 touchdowns was a 5-yard run. Calvert added the extra point, and the Titans went up 7-0. After Indiana punted the second time, West Mifflin closed it out in the first quarter and moved into the second quarter with a 4th and 11, but they were short by a yard of getting a first down as Indiana held. So Indiana took over at the 18-yard line. An interference call took the ball all the way down to the 7. They had a 4th and 8 at the 14, and they had a pass that was about a yard short. So at halftime, in a half that was played in 55 minutes, West Mifflin only had a 7-0 lead. We went to the third quarter. West Mifflin received the opening kickoff, and they stalled. They had to punt the football, but they got it back when Brian Johnson picked off another Harker Road pass, and that was the second interception and the second one for Johnson to pick it off. West Mifflin at the 9:20 mark started on their 37-yard line, and on the very first play after that, Parker rambled 62 yards to the end zone and a score, with Calvert adding the extra point, and it was then 14-0. Then the next time around, with West Mifflin getting the ball at the 5:09 mark at their own 23, Johnson had a 49-yard run that helped to set up the next touchdown by Parker, who went 22 yards for the score. At the 3:03 mark, Calvert added the extra point, 21-0. Well, another turnover by Indiana the next time they got the ball at their 35. The third interception of the night, this by DeSonny Green, and West Mifflin then ending the third period with a personal foul against Indiana into the fourth quarter, and again a touchdown by Parrish Parker, a 50-yard drive. He went 6 yards for the score. Calvert made it 28-0 at the 9:46 mark. Indiana then had the ball at the 9:40 mark in the fourth quarter at their 35, and they turned it over again on a fumble. Smedley recovered, and the next play, well, it was a touchdown by a young man back up. Nichols scored a touchdown, and that made the score 35-0 after Calvert's extra point, and we were in the mercy rule. Parrish Parker had a night. He is headed to Howard University. 4 touchdowns, 245 yards, 4 turnovers for Indiana as Grant Harkleroad went all the way at quarterback for Luke Thomas. Thomas will be back next week. Indiana will be on the road at Ringgold. Jack Benedict reporting for Coach's Corner and Luther Ford.
All right, Jack, thanks so much. And on the football field last night after the game, a chance for Bruce Weber to talk with the head coach, Brandon Overdorf.
We're going to take you down now to the field and hook up with Bruce Weber and the coach, Brandon Overdorf. Bruce?
Okay, Jack, thank you very much. Brandon, first of all, your impressions of the game, and what did you tell the team?
Well, I thought for 3.5 quarters we executed our game plan extremely well, like I told you at halftime, and did exactly what we wanted to do on offense, controlled the ball, ate some clock, just chugged along. We didn't finish some drives, missed some opportunities in the passing game, especially in the second half where we had some guys running wide open. So we got to get better at executing, but and defensively, we made enough stops to keep us in the ball game against a very talented running back, and then the floodgates kind of opened there in the latter half of the third quarter and into the fourth, and we tried to do some things getting back in the football game, throwing the football and turned the ball over and didn't take care of the football, fumbled in our own territory, and then they put a lot of points on. I don't think the score is necessarily indicative of what how we played, other than the last quarter we kind of earned that score. So we got stuff we got to fix. We got to play 48 minutes. We got to play with enthusiasm 48 minutes. We can't put we can't mope around when something bad goes wrong. We got to forget about it and keep playing. And we did well at that early, but late we kind of fell back into some bad habits, and it's my job to fix that, so we'll try to fix it.
Well, it's a 7-0 game at the half. It looks good. But then that third quarter, they make a play early, and it just seemed like the 4 turnovers tonight just killed you, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, they always do. And, Grant's, he'll be the first one to tell you we're a little limited in the passing game. He just didn't throw the ball very well. I mean, he did a great job tonight. I don't want to step in and do what he did and manage the game like we had the first 2.5 quarters. Unbelievable job. We just made some mistakes in the passing game, and they're very talented in the secondary. I mean, you don't have a kid going D1 for no reason. So mistakes always kill you. You got to take care of the football, bottom line, and we didn't do that tonight.
And big plays kill you, and Parker showed us tonight. It seemed like he'd bounce to the outside, and once he did that, he was gone. There was nothing you could do, could you?
Athletically, he's the best kid on the field, and we bottled that up for 2.5 quarters, and it just, when it exploded, we didn't get enough hats to the football. We'll look at the tape, see what we did assignment-wise. It wasn't right, but he out-athleted us on the edge and made some dynamic runs, and he's a special kid. So, what are you going to say? I mean, he's blessed. So,
what have you learned about your team after 2 games?
I don't think they have the belief in themselves that they need yet, and we talked about that at halftime, how close they are. They were actually dominating, I thought, the offensive line in the first half and defensive line. We were pushing them around a little bit. I think that becomes a belief and a confidence level that you got to finish then. We had some great drives, like I said, so we're closer than I think maybe we expected to be at this point in time. Coming off of last season and looking at tape, we're playing some pretty good football early on. We're probably better than I expected us to be, but then, we kind of fell back into some bad habits, like I said, and we got to fix that, and it's a belief and a confidence issue, and it's a philosophy thing, and keep preaching the same thing about process and playing every play, and don't worry about the score, because we're not here. We're just here to get better every day. That's, like I said, all year since I was hired, that's the goal, get better every day, and if we take care of the little things and focus on the things we need to do to get better, the results that we want will happen, and that's just going to be what you hear from me every week. That's where we're at as a program. We just got to get better.
The good news is you get your starting quarterback back, Luke Thomas, next week, so you should be better. The bad news is you got to go on the road to Ringgold. So how do you assess those 2 factors?
Well, it'll be our first road trip of the year. Brand new turf down there should be exciting. Be good to get Luke back. I know he's itching to play and feels bad about what happened, but hey, we'll see. He kind of owes us one. So just get excited again. Like I told the kids, we come practice like our life depends on it. We got to get better and then go play the way we practice, and everything will be fine next week. But yeah, we'll put this one behind us and focus on the next one.
And you get well with that surgery coming up, and thank you, and we'll see you next Friday night, Brandon.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, Jack.
There's Brandon Overdorf with Bruce Weber on the football field last night. Ward, how much fun is it to have Brandon Overdorf back on Coach's Corner? Earth to Ward. He's back there. So press the button, Ward. There you go.
There we are. Alameda 1 to Alameda 2. This is the China Clipper. Yeah, I'm back. Brandon is the right fit. Let's make no mistake about it. It is really strange that the most serious injury of his football career came as a coach. And, we wish him well in the surgery. It's just a shame that all that happened. And he's right. With missing your starting quarterback and probably one of your big team leaders, Luke Thomas, a fiery sort, his presence on the field makes a big difference. I was impressed with their effort. And I think that's all Brandon's looking for is commitment and effort out there. And that's where it all starts. And, it's going to take some time to turn it, but I think he's the guy that can do that. If the kids stick with him, they'll be all right up there.
Friday night, they're at Ringgold. Ringgold lost to TJ last night, 62-0 in a conference game. Wow. Of course, Thomas Jefferson will be on the Indiana schedule later in the season. So the Luther Ford Lincoln Coach's Corner program rolls on. Ligonier Valley Penns Manor last night, and that's next.
Game plans, how important they are in the world of sports. Coming up with the right strategy to ensure success. Who's on your team to help you reach your goals in life and protect your assets? Jack Nelson of Nelson Insurance can develop the right insurance game plan for you. Nelson Insurance is an independent agent representing Erie Insurance and other fine companies. Call Nelson Insurance for a review of your financial game plan. Nelson Insurance, Franklin Street Clymer, 724-254-9276.
The summer sales event is in its final days, and Luther Ford is celebrating with extra savings over the Labor Day weekend. They'll be open Labor Day Monday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
For more than 61 years, Luther Ford's been your family-owned, community-minded, good neighbor Ford dealer.
And whether you're in the market for a car, truck, or SUV, new or used, Luther Ford has you covered this Labor Day weekend.
Take advantage of huge savings and fabulous incentives on America's top-selling brand with 0% financing on most new models.
Plus, if you're in the market for pre-owned, due to a huge volume of trade-ins, Luther Ford has something for everybody.
Luther Ford's award-winning Master Certified Techs are the best in the business, and the service department now features extended hours on Monday nights and Saturdays.
Hey, if you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, you gotta make it to Luther Ford this weekend for their huge Labor Day sale. Remember, Luther Ford will be open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Labor Day Monday, and they invite you to stop by for some complimentary burgers and dogs.
Luther Ford, Route 119, Homer City, and open 24/7 at lutherford.com.
And Luther Ford, of course, the sponsor of the Luther Ford Coach's Corner program, celebrating our 50th season here on WDAD, AM 1450, 100.3 FM. Online this season, the U92 Sports Channel, U92Radio.com. Ward Hilliard, we had to ship him off to another studio because of some microphone problems in our main studio. So, Ward, remember the old movie Father Goose with Cary Grant?
Very well.
You are Father Goose today. If Leslie Caron shows up back there, I'll be very, very jealous.
Well, you won't hear from me if that is the case.
But there you go. You are Father Goose this morning in our remote location. So last night, the Penns Manor Comets visit the Ligonier Valley Rams, Ward, and we'll talk about this all season long as the season progresses. Ligonier Valley is going to meet all challengers head on, and they're going to, as Roger has said all along, it's one game at a time, literally, for us. And he told me before the game last night he didn't even know who he's playing next week. That's how focused they are on each opponent. And last night, of course, was their first home game of the season. It was their first game at home since the loss over the summer of last year's captain, Joey Dubix, and the Dubix family was there. Memorial celebration. I thought it was so special last night. The honorary captains for the game were the emergency responders who searched for Joey in his unfortunate drowning in the month of July. And so they honored them for their dedication to their craft, and in so doing, they honored first responders everywhere. The Dubix family, of course, there, and so proud to be there. and the ball team came onto the field with a great big number 23 banner in his honor. It was a special night, and as I said to Coach before the game, they have had to do this way too often. When a school has to do this once, it's too often. When you have to do it multiple times, as they have in that Ligonier Valley family, to rally around as they do just means that that's a whole special group of people in that entire district.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, athletics provides you that avenue of relieving some of the grief of a loss of that nature. It always seems to be that you get a game of such as that you get folks out and everyone spends a little time reflecting, and suddenly the game itself is less significant. But, everything gets refocused and you get back on there, and Joey's certainly going to be a guy that they will carry throughout the rest of this season, I'm sure.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get to the game details. Once they started playing football, Ligonier Valley was right there and right from the start. First play from scrimmage, Rams take the ball after the kickoff at their 45, and on the first play, number 6, Mr. Totino, Aaron Totino, if you're not going to cover him, it's going to cost you. And he got behind the defense, was hit in stride by John Caldwell. The first of 6 touchdown passes, record-setting night for Caldwell as he hits Totino for 55 yards in stride, 7-0, and we're 12 seconds into the football game. A punt by Penns Manor. Ligonier Valley gets the football again, this time at their 39. It took them a few more plays, 5 to go those 61 yards, but indeed they did. And it's Totino again as he catches a 41-yard touchdown pass, and it's 14-0 at that point with 7:08 left in the first quarter. Penns Manor has to punt. Ligonier Valley gets the football back, and they go on a 7-play, 67-yard drive, helped by a third down, 30-yard pass to Sam Sheeter from John Caldwell. It was 3rd and 6, I believe, when that pass was completed to keep that drive going, and it is wrapped up by a 1-yard touchdown run by Kerry Miller. The kick is good. It's 21-0 at that point. And then as the second quarter is winding down, there's 19 seconds left in the quarter word when they kick off. The Penns Manor fumbles it. I thought the kid should have been ruled down, but he was not. And Ligonier Valley took advantage. They recovered at the 18, and it took them just 5 seconds to score from there. And they did it with the old hook and lateral as Caldwell hit Totino, who pitched it to Beidel, and he ran it in. Zach Beidel for the score, 28-0 at that point. And so right away, the Ligonier Valley Rams established themselves. They had a couple of more scores, 34-0 as the Rams, after getting the football the next time at the Penns Manor 14 after a punt to begin the second half. The Comets were pinned deep in their territory. The punt only went out of bounds at the 14-yard line. Took them 2 plays. It was 34-0 after the touchdown pass to Sullivan Schultz. And they tacked on a couple of more scores in the game. Penns Manor did get a score late in the game as the Comets got a touchdown run from Samoji. The final score, 48-8, Ligonier Valley with the win. Big number from the game word. Penns Manor, first half, 12 penalties, 115 yards. Ligonier Valley, 5 for 55. And those major penalties, they're going to cost you, and they... I don't think it made all that much difference in the game because the majors didn't come until the game was out of hand. But it's a discipline thing and a learning thing. There's a big learning curve, and the Comets aren't quite around it yet.
No, and you're right there. Penalties against a team like Ligonier will cost you. You have to play just about the perfect game, not the perfect storm, but the perfect game. To beat them, any of the teams that they're remaining on their schedule are going to have to game plan to the T, and you can't afford to have penalties get in the way of that. By the way, the 2 gimmick plays now are 2 for 2 on those. They ran the hook and ladder last night at Homer. They ran a modified Statue of Liberty play, both of which came deep in the opponents in their territory. So it was a time when the defense is gearing up to stop a run. They pull that out of the bag, and you just get burned. And that's a luxury you have. That's got to make their practices fun when they have insert a play like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's a Penns Manor staple, too. So Ligonier Valley turns the tables, if you will, on Penns Manor in that respect. So let's hear from the coaches involved in the game. Roger Beidel, his school, a very emotional game. His quarterback, a very good quarterback.
Coach Roger Beidel, week 2, and you rolled over Penns Manor tonight, and you jumped on them early. Got the football first, and you scored early, and really, that first play set a tone, didn't it?
Well, it did. It set the tone for the evening, and you know, what a fantastic night for John Caldwell, who broke the school record for touchdown passes in a game with 6. So that was set by Colin Smith. So anytime you can break a record set by Colin Smith, you're in pretty good company. And very first play, we found Aaron Totino, and we got off to a fast start. And quite honestly, good thing we did, because with the emotions of tonight's game and with everything going on, you know, we were in a different zone emotionally. And then it kind of caught up to us in the second half a little bit. You know, I just saw that we were just kind of really gassed. Some of our faces were, you know, they looked like they had already played 4 quarters of football. But I think that had a lot to do with the early emotions and everything that was going on with the you know, the tremendous ceremony and acknowledgement of all the first responders and everything. What a class thing that our boosters put on the school district to recognize all those people. So, like I said, we got off to a fast start. I mean, those emotions were sky high, and it took its toll on us really in the second quarter.
2 things, Coach. Your offensive line, the pass protection was outstanding, and we expect that. And it's a shame that we expect it so much, because then we don't give credit where it is due. But the pass protection was outstanding, and I thought in the second half maybe you'd come out and you'd try to blast them off the line of scrimmage and establish the run game. And for a good portion of that half you did, but I think you probably thought, maybe I need to work on this run game a little more.
Well, but it's also a condition of you know, what are we getting? We're not just going to run the ball up against the wall. You know, they were bringing the barn, and you know, why are we going to try to run that whenever they're not playing us the way that they did in the first half? You know, with guys in coverage and covering our guys, and we're not just going to get our running backs killed inside. So, you know, ultimately we got Kiri over 100, which we wanted to see him carry the load a little bit, and we did work on it. But again, you know, what we do offensively is, you know, predicated on what they're doing defensively, and you know, the touchdown pass late to Sully was just a product of, you know, if they're going to be bringing all those guys and leaving guys uncovered, we're just going to throw it to them. And that was tough. And in our alignment also, and it's something that we're probably going to see a little bit later on, is we have to find a way to deal with our offensive linemen playing defense. They were being cut. They were being taken down like in a defensive tactic, which prevented us from getting to the second level and getting into our zone blocking schemes. So, you know, it's just a product of what you're playing. You know, I mean, it'd be nice to work on some things and get some things established, but by the same token, you know, you want to come out of this with not making sure your kids don't get hurt.
When those guys did turn around and play defense, boy, up front, they were coming.
They did, and it starts with those guys up front, those defensive linemen. And Christian Jablonski, I thought, had a monster game at defensive end, and Mike Petroff inside got a big push, and Wiley Spiker and Blake Bridge. I mean, both our ends in particular, and Mike, I thought, really were disruptive tonight. Our defensive ends made huge plays, big tackles for losses, and with Penns Manor being the perimeter team that they are, we knew we had to set an edge. And I thought in addition to that, I thought Andrew Kozumchak at one corner and Zach Beidel at the other played exceptionally well against the run, especially on the flank. Both of them made some plays in the backfield, were involved in some tackles for loss, or they set edges and forced the running back to cut back inside to where, you know, all those meat eaters are coming in pursuit. And that's probably not going to end well for any running back.
One of the things that we tend to do is take for granted some of the big players who make big plays for your team. Aaron Totino is a guy who puts so much pressure on a defense, and we see that happen early, and we say, well, Totino's out there being Totino, but that's a pretty special thing.
It is, and he's a special player. But I think the biggest play that says a lot, everything about Aaron, is Kiri Miller had a long run down their sidelines, and all of a sudden you saw 6 flying out of nowhere to get downfield. He ran past probably 3 or 4 guys to get down there to try to spring Kiri into the end zone. So the selflessness of that player to put forth a maximum effort to sprint full speed to try to help his teammate get in the end zone, that speaks volume of him, and that's why he's a captain for our football team. But he's a special player, and he's really motivated, just by the fact that he's just really trying to find his way and trying to get to that next level. And hopefully somebody somewhere at some point is going to finally get it right and be like, this is a guy we want on our team. So he's playing highly motivated, and he wants to really put an assault on the record books, and he wants to really have a strong case to leave a legacy as one of the greatest players that we've ever had in this conference.
2 weeks in, 2 big wins, and then a game next week against the United Lions, one at a time, huh?
And one at a time. We get to go over to United, and that's always a special game because of the proximity of the two schools. They're a team that's on the rise. They're big and strong and physical, and we look forward to it. It's going to be a tremendous atmosphere, and we're going to enjoy this one right now and then get to work on Monday. The kids are really excited. I don't know if you noticed, but I gave them off 2 days, so. A lot of people might be listening to that thinking, what's that mean? But around here, that means a lot. Our old guys are probably going to be sending me texts and what the heck's going on. But we gave them off Saturday and Sunday. Labor Day, we will be laboring. So we're going to get back to work. But right now we're going to enjoy this. And it was a fun night. Fun night for everybody.
There's Roger Beidel, head coach of the Ligonier Valley Rams, the victory last night. Scoreboard's coming up. We need to get first, though, to Bill Packer, head coach of the Penns Banner Comets.
Coach Bill Packer, in the wake of the loss to Ligonier Valley, they came out and established themselves very early. Big, strong, fast, and they do everything well, don't they?
They do. We knew going in to this game, we knew that they're big up front, and they can throw the ball as well as run it, and we saw them moving people around, just moving people off the ball. I thought our defensive line did a half-decent job tonight, but when you go up against a receiver like the Totino boy, and, not only him, all their receivers were nice receivers. Quarterback can throw the ball, put it on the button, and, the very first play of the game, Totino runs that wheel route, and we had no one there, and that was a big play, and that put us in a hole right to start the game.
Yeah, and then the penalties started piling up and really hurt you. You did protect the football tonight, but you said there were 2 things you needed to do before this game, and one of those was protect the ball. The other was to stay away from those mistakes, those penalties, and in that first half, that was hard to do.
It was. I'm pleased with the turnovers, but I think we had 1 turnover, but as far as the penalties, man, we really have to keep working on that, Todd. We're just making too many penalties, and at big times, I thought right before the half that we could put a score in there, and then we have a penalty inside the 10-yard line. So, we got to stop that. We're not a good enough team to make up 15, 20 yards on a play. So we have to eliminate those things, and hopefully we can do that.
And when you talk about turnovers, the one at the end of the first half on the kickoff return, they get 2 scores within 10 seconds of each other at the end of the half, and it just changes the whole character of what the game's about.
It does. Once that first quarter, just overall, it just I have to say I'm pleased that our kids didn't put their heads down, though. But, they just have some big playmakers. You turn the ball over, give them the score. And, that's really tough on you. But, I'm still proud of these kids. They gave 100% effort tonight. And we're going to work hard, Todd, and we're going to get back to it. And hopefully we can give Homer Center a game next week.
Well, you've got a bunch of young kids that are learning the football game right now. And some of those learnings, sometimes it means you're taking a few bumps and bruises, and the lessons are hard ones to learn. But they have to do that, don't they?
They do. Talking about some young guys, Dimitri Lee last week had an exceptional, great game last week. Tonight we told him, you have to have your head on your shoulders because you're playing against a different team tonight. And, those kids just threw the ball on us. And I think he learned a lot from that. And all the defensive backs learned a lot from the game. I thought we played a lot better defensively in the backfield last week, but you're not going to run into too many teams like this Ligonier team with the receivers and the quarterback they have.
Well, that's an interesting statement because we were talking last week about these teams in the Heritage Conference. There's one or two teams up at the top. There's a whole bunch of teams in the middle trying to distinguish themselves. You get a chance against a pretty good team next week.
Yeah, it's Homer. You look at these teams, everyone's there, and I think it's going to come down to who prepares the best and who's ready to go, and again, your turnovers and penalties, but I look at this conference now. Besides Ligonier, who's completely, just dominant in it. Besides that, I think anybody can beat anybody in this conference now, and I think it's going to be an exciting year.
Coach, thanks so much.
Thanks, Todd.
Celebrating its 50th season, this is the Luther Ford Lincoln Coaches Corner.
And we press the reset button, scoreboard time here on Luther Ford Coaches Corner program. Heritage Conference scores last night, the game you just heard about. Ligonier Valley 48, Penns Manor 8. Northern Cambria 50-13 over Salzburg. It was West Shamokin beating Marion Center 22-14. Homer Center 50, Purchase Line 22. United a 57-28 win over Blairsville. Bobcats have had a real tough first 2 weeks. Westpac, Myersdale 30-26 over Black Lick Valley. Portage beating North Star 62-0. Conemaugh Township 42. Berlin Brothers Valley 21 last night. Shade and Conemaugh Valley. The Panthers leading at 12-0. The game suspended by lightning. It will resume at 7 o'clock tonight. And also today, Winber plays at Ferndale. That's an afternoon game. WPIAL AAA Big 8. West Mifflin 35-0 over Indiana. Indiana's next opponent is Ringgold. They lost to Thomas Jefferson 62-0. Greensburg Salem 41. Trinity 13. And out-of-conference games, Bell Vernon and Laurel Highlands both won. Bell Vernon 43-0 over Ambridge. Laurel Highlands 35-13 over Albert Gallatin. Ward, you can jump in on any of these games you want. Bellwood Annis 47, Glendale 6. Tyrone 33-13 over Central last night. Claysburg Kimmel, a final called due to weather with Claysburg Kimmel beating Williamsburg 28-0. Bald Eagle 46, Phillipsburg Osceola 14. Bellefontaine 10-0 over Huntington. Bishop Carroll played East Canton, Ohio, 35-6. The Huskies fall. Tussey Mountain 32, Everett 13. Forest Hills 34-14 over Bedford. Another final call due to weather. Chestnut Ridge leading Johnstown 22-0. Chestnut Ridge gets the win. West Branch 35, Mo Valley 20. How about that score? Press the button.
Press the button. That is, again, a surprise over on that side of the mountain. Some of these teams, I see Juniata Valley turned it around too. So it's going to be that kind of a rock and roll season, I think, back and forth. And if you have an off night, you're going to pay for it. So it's a lot of balance out there. The Heritage obviously is, other than Ligonier, like you said, I think each game is going to be competitive.
Juniata Valley 38, Mountain Union 20. Penn Cambria has 2 wins already, 32-3 over Central Cambria. And Richland is 2-0, 35-6 over Cambria Heights. Richland, looks like they're stacked up, aren't they?
Well, they're looking down the road probably a little bit. I don't think they want to stretch out too much, but certainly with Ligonier in the hunt as far as the district playoffs are concerned, that could be an interesting matchup when it occurs.
McCourt's 0-2, fell to Somerset 19-16. A game on Thursday, Southern Huntington beat Northern Bedford 33-28. Today, Westmont Hilltop at Bishop Guilfoyle. Other games from our area schools, Punxsutawney fell to Karn City 42-22. Armstrong beat Hampton 29-15. Derry, another win, 19-13 over Freeport. Apollo Ridge is at Summit Academy today. It is the Luther Ford Coach's Corner program, AM 1450 WDID, 100.3 FM. And we're going to bring you to the game between the West Shamokin Wolves and the Marion Center Stingers next on the Luther Ford Coach's Corner program.
The summer sales event is in its final days, and Luther Ford is celebrating with extra savings over the Labor Day weekend. They'll be open Labor Day Monday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
For more than 61 years, Luther Ford's been your family-owned, community-minded, good neighbor Ford dealer.
And whether you're in the market for a car, truck, or SUV, new or used, Luther Ford has you covered this Labor Day weekend.
Take advantage of huge savings and fabulous incentives on America's top-selling brand with 0% financing on most new models.
Plus, if you're in the market for pre-owned, due to a huge volume volume of trade-ins, Luther Ford has something for everybody.
Luther Ford's award-winning Master Certified techs are the best in the business, and the service department now features extended hours on Monday nights and Saturdays.
Hey, if you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, you gotta make it to Luther Ford this weekend for their huge Labor Day sale. Remember, Luther Ford will be open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Labor Day Monday, and they invite you to stop by for some complimentary burgers and dogs.
Luther Ford, Route 119, Homer City, and open 24/7 at lutherford.com.
If your weekend has started with a strain or a sprain, a sports injury, concussion, even a fracture, an ankle injury in Friday's game, an elbow injury from that wobbly ladder, if you've been hurt, visit the IRMC Physician Group Saturday morning injury clinic from 8 a.m. to noon at the Human Motion Institute, Suite 100 on the Indiana Regional Medical Center campus. Walk-ins welcome or call 724-427-2260 that morning to let them know you're coming. On-site x-rays available. The Saturday morning injury clinic is open every Saturday from 8 a.m. to noon, Suite 100 at the Human Motion Institute. It's the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program, AM 1450, WDAD 100.3 FM online, the U92 Sports Channel. Mark Burdig is at Luther Ford this morning. We expect to hear from him within this hour. One correction to the scores. I mistyped this morning. It was Homer Center beating Purchase Line 50-28. Last night, the West Shamokin Wolves traveling to Marion Center to play the Marion Center Stingers, and this was a close one. Ward, surprised by that score, 22-14 West Shamokin?
In a way, yes. West Shamokin certainly considered one of the top three in the Heritage, and they went up to Marion Center. New coach Adam Rising, very impressed with him, by the way. Had some talks with him in the coaches show, he got a great effort from his team against a very solid West Shamokin team.
Yeah, West Shamokin, of course, they've got a lot of weapons. They jump out to an 8-0 lead in the first quarter. At the half, it is 16-6. But problems in the special teams for the Wolves last night. They had a punt go awry in the first half, and the description from John McCullough is their punter got injured, and so they went to a backup punter, Tyler Lightcap, and he underkicked his coverage. His team was running down the football field with their backs to him, of course. And the punt actually landed behind them, and just a great opportunistic play by Marion Center to pick it up and run it in with the other team running the wrong way. So they get that, and late in the game, with a 22-6 lead for the West Shamokin Wolves, Marion Center blocks a punt with 1:55 left. They fall on it in the end zone. And that made it 22-14 with under 2 minutes left. So the Stingers had a chance in this game. But the big play in the beginning of the second half, first play of the third quarter, West Shamokin comes out of the locker room, and you keep your eye on Jaden Haswell this year for the West Shamokin Wolves. This is a kid with tremendous speed, and he seems to have great instincts as well. Tyler Lightcap hits him with a 38-yard touchdown pass on the first play of the second half, and that enables West Shamokin to open a 22-6 lead. As I said, they gave up that late score, but they win the football game. A chance to talk with the two coaches. John McCullough of the Wolves. He's Coach John McCullough. The West Shamokin Wolves come away with that 22-14 win over Marion Center, just describing it to you. Coach, a few problems on special teams last night, but you popped a couple of big ones in that first play of the second half, then that pass from Tyler Lightcap to Jaden Haswell. And that proves to be the difference. When you don't play the way that you want yourselves to play and you still come away with a win, that has to be pretty heartening to you, even though you're probably disappointed in the way that your team played.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. We didn't play as well as I would have liked. And I'm not taking anything away from Marion Center because they played extremely hard last night. We just were not clean. We turned the ball over, I think, 4 times with fumbles. Our special teams play was not good at all. We have a lot of work to do in our punting game. We had a punt return for a score, and then that blocked punt for a score. So, those are things that we must clean up and get better at, if we want to be successful here throughout. That, Yeah, I mean, the big play to Jaden. Jaden had a pretty big game for us last night. That was a great way to start the second half. Unfortunately, we weren't able to find much more success after that.
Well, the interesting thing to me about the game itself is that I know that you are big and strong up front, and you've got very athletic guys. And Marion Center does too, don't they? They're big and strong too.
Yeah, it was tough sledding for us last night. We had a difficult time running the football. For as much success as we had last week running the ball, it was just as difficult this week. And some nights you have that, and we turned the passing game more, and Tyler was able to come through.
Yeah. The Stingers offensively against your defense last night. Tyler Sweeney's such a motor, and I know the guys feed off of him. Tell me what your defense was doing last night to bottle up Marion Center's offense.
Well, I mean, always, the main objective for us defensively is to stop the run, and we did a pretty good job of that last night. And we were able to get a decent amount of pressure on our quarterback in the passing game. I'm not sure how many sacks we had. I think we had probably like 6 or 7. One of the problems we had with them a couple times, they caught us with the quarterback scrambling a little bit, being flushed out. Picked up some plays. They had a couple bubble screens and then we had a blown coverage at one time. Other than that, all in all, we played pretty well defensively. So far, we have not given up a point yet with our starting defense. So, we need to continue to play, pretty good football defensively.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to next week, aren't you?
No, Northern Cambria is an outstanding football team. We must play 100 times better than what we did last night. If we want to beat these guys, we've had 2 pretty tough battles with them here the last 2 years.
Yeah,
that's gone right down to the wire. So I'm expecting our kids to be up and ready and to play our absolute best here this Friday.
They have a ton of weapons, don't they?
They do, and they do it, especially from the running game. A variety of different ways. Whether it be your typical pro style, ISO, runs to option. The Marino kid is an outstanding quarterback. You got those 2 running backs. They're awfully tough to defend.
Yeah, really are. So that'll be a good game for next Friday night. Looking forward to it. Coach, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
There is the head coach of the West Shamokin Wolves, John McCullough, and our interview with Adam Rising, the head coach of the Marion Center Stingers, brought to you by Weaver Pools and Spas.
Lakin here from Weaver's Pools and Spas. We love football season. We're big fans of the Stingers. Good luck to Coach Rising and the team this season. Spa season is right around the corner. Come see us for the best spas on the market. If you want a new pool, don't delay. We're currently booking next year's projects. Weaver's Pools and Spas, 1905 Philadelphia Street, Indiana.
And here we go now with Coach Adam Rising. The West Shamokin Wolves beat the Marion Center Stingers 22-14. Coach, special teams are pretty special for you last night, weren't they? You got a couple of scores off of special teams.
Yeah, absolutely, Todd. Yeah, boys had some big plays. We stressed special teams a third of the game, and early in the game, the punt return team was kind of I'm pretty sure one of our kids got a finger on the ball, or it was just muffed, and ball went short, and our senior Travis Parcell, linebacker, he scooped it up and made a really nice heads-up play to punch it in to go up early. And again, with special teams in the fourth quarter, getting at it and getting a good pressure on the punt, we're able to get a block. I believe Zach Kitch got a part of the ball, and we had guys falling in the end zone. So Special teams came up big. We just get our offense rolling here. But so very proud of our. Brad Smith takes ownership in our special teams and had some good calls last night. And those guys, we got a lot of younger, underclassmen on those special team plays as well. So very proud in general of how we played in that category of football last night.
Sounds like it was a real slugfest along the line of scrimmage, though. The two teams really went at it, huh?
It sure was. Todd. We, after watching them on film against PL, we knew they were physical, tough up front, well coached. Coach McCall does a great job with those men over there. And, you got a defense player of the year last year, Tyler Sweeney, behind as a linebacker, and as a senior, just a standout kid. It was, and I really challenged the boys before the game, our lineman-wise, challenge those guys to step up. And, defensively last night, Levi Eisenberg and Devin Linkenfelder and Austin Reinhardt really assured themselves last night from the defensive perspective. They really got at it. Linebackers, Aaron Brewer, Clayton Coble, Keegan Whitfield, Gavin Pelka, and Garrett Wells had some amazing plays as well. They were tough. They scraped well. We knew going in trap and sweep was their two big bread and butter plays, and we did real well defending that up front. So all in all, compared to last Friday, we responded well. Our kids, I challenged them early in the week practice-wise, and we got really at it this week from a physicality standpoint. And we grew. We took a step up last night, Todd, and we became a better football team, even though it was a tough one to swallow from a loss category. I'm proud of how we stepped up last night.
Now you're going to turn it around and play purchase line this coming week. Coach, what's going on offense? What are the things that have to be solved in order to put this thing in gear?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Traveling over PL, it's always a tough place to play. Plus, the brothers, they always got their guys ready to play over there. And I'm sure they're going to be hungry. But more importantly, offensively-wise, that's on my shoulders. So wee hours in the morning breaking us down after our game. And again, we just got to become more crisp offensively. We got to sustain blocks like I was saying last weekend. And again, we grew last night from an offensive line perspective, but we still have a lot of room for improvement in that category. We threw the ball a lot more last night than we have, and more than general. And, again, that's on my shoulders. We'll get back to the drawing board here, and you got to get better on the protection up front. We had a lot of missed opportunities on the field that initially I didn't see last night.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you what kind of protection Gavin's getting back there. Is he able to set up? Is he able to look over the field and go through his reads and his progressions? How is that developing?
We're trying to keep it simple in that aspect, Todd. We like I always say we love our underclassmen, and he's a sophomore, but it's time to grow. It's time to man up a little bit. And we're trying to, isolate him, but opportunity he can throw out of the pocket. Last night he ran the ball real well at times when the pocket collapsed. He's tough on the boot, and again, just getting more of an empty set last night with 5-man protection. So just saying that better, moving our feet. We worked, like I said, we got better with that throughout the week, and just get a lot more room for improvement. Even our backs got to get better blocking on the perimeter and maintaining and so forth. But sophomore quarterbacks got to step up and see in the field and realizing the big thing last night. Talking to him is knowing the situation, knowing when to throw the ball away, knowing when to take a shot, a 3rd and long or 4th and long, when to take advantage of an opportunity, and he'll grow. He'll grow. He's a good kid. He studies a lot of film throughout the week, and he'll grow as a quarterback. And he said we'll grow offensively, but I'm going to take full ownership and making sure we're better next week.
Well, we call them the triangle games, the Purchase Line, Marion Center, Penns Manor Triangle, and you got one next week. Coach, we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for joining us this morning on the Luther Ford Coaches Corner.
Thanks a lot, Todd. Enjoy your holiday weekend. Take care.
There's Adam Rising, the head coach of the Marion Center Stingers, who fall last night in week number 2 of this Heritage Conference season to the West Shamokin Wolves. And it's 9:29. It's the Luther Ford Lincoln Coaches Corner.
Game plans, how important they are in the world of sports. Coming up with the right strategy to ensure success. Who's on your team to help you reach your goals in life and protect your assets? Jack Nelson of Nelson Insurance can develop the right insurance game plan for you. Nelson Insurance is an independent agent representing Erie Insurance and other fine companies. Call Nelson Insurance for a review of your financial game plan. Nelson Insurance, Franklin Street Clymer, 724-254-9276.
It is the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program in its 50th season, and joining us this morning from Luther Ford is Mark Burdick. Mark, good morning.
Good morning, Todd. Yeah, we're here at Luther Ford on this beautiful Saturday. What a way to kick off the Labor Day weekend. We have a remote going on, some reports on a couple of our stations, our affiliate station, Cat Country, and also here on WDAD. And thanks for having us on Coach's Corner, the Luther Ford Coach's Corner. I have Bobby Jones, one of the seasoned grizzly veterans, so to speak, of the Luther Ford sales staff. He's been here for 11 years. And, Bob, it's going to be a great weekend. I know you're going to be open Monday, too, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., but you're kicking things off Saturday. And, boy, there's something for everybody.
Oh, yeah, there is. We got 0% financing on a lot of our models. The 18s are left there. The 19s will be coming out, so it's a great time to buy. Like I said, I sound like a car salesman there, but it is a great time to buy when the 19s are coming out and the 18 leftovers. 0% financing Monday, 9 to 4 for Labor Day. And come on up today till 5.
We have the prize wheel. We have some Martin's gift cards. We have T-shirts, items. I know Monday you guys are going to be, now are you, is it going to be Chef Bob on Monday? Or are you the one going to be cooking? Because Mario said burgers and dogs for everybody.
I hope not, because, no, you don't want to taste my cooking. That will not be good. I want you to come back to Luther Ford, so no, I'm not cooking.
I know you guys have had a string of great months here. Is it kind of all over the board with what's been the hot car, truck, or SUV? I know SUVs are very strong.
Yeah, I mean, they are always strong. The trucks are always strong. We do good with the Ford F-150s, the Ford Escapes, four-wheel drive, great on gas. They go anywhere, and we do great with a lot of our line. The Focus, 40 miles a gallon almost. I mean, you can't beat that if you got a long commute to work or college students. So, yeah, I mean, Ford, up and down the whole lineup, we do great, actually.
Thanks, and we hope to see folks here. 0% financing on most new models of America's best-selling brand right here at Luther Ford. That was Bob Jones. I'm Mark Burdick, and we say thank you to Mario Luther, too, Todd, right, for, again, sponsoring the Luther Ford Coaches Corner every Saturday morning right here from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on WDAD AM 1450 and 100.3. I was thinking, Todd, coming over here today, we should have like our own Mount Rushmore. I guess we'd need a fourth guy since there's only been 3 hosts of Coach's Corner. Jack Benedict started it, and then along came Chuck Clark, and I think you have the longest run. So congratulations. When you think about it, it's pretty amazing that we've had only 3 hosts in 50 years.
We were talking about that on our game last night, and not only did we have we had only 3 hosts on the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program in 50 years, all 3 of those fellas are still broadcasting high school football games on Friday night for our stations.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm looking across the highway here. I see the 3 smokestacks at the Homer City Generating Station. Maybe we could put your, bronze statue at the top of one, and then Jack and Chuck, our own little Mount Coach's Corner.
Yeah, well, all 3 of us have been blowing smoke for 50 years now. Thank you, Mark.
Well stated.
We got to go. There's Mark Burdick from Luther Ford. It is the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program celebrating 50 years here on AM 1450 WDAD 100.3 FM and U92 Sports Channel.
The summer sales event is in its final days, and Luther Ford is celebrating with extra savings over the Labor Day weekend. They'll be open Labor Day Monday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
For more than 61 years, Luther Ford's been your family-owned, community-minded, good neighbor Ford dealer.
And whether you're in the market for a car, truck, or SUV, new or used, Luther Ford has you covered this Labor Day weekend.
Take advantage of huge savings and fabulous incentives on America's top-selling brand with 0% financing on most new models.
Plus, if you're in the market for pre-owned, due to a huge volume of trade-ins, Luther Ford has something for everybody.
Luther Ford's award-winning Master Certified Techs are the best in the business, and the service department now features extended hours on Monday nights and Saturdays.
Hey, if you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, you gotta make it to Luther Ford this weekend for their huge Labor Day sale. Remember, Luther Ford will be open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Labor Day Monday, and they invite you to stop by for some complimentary burgers and dogs.
Luther Ford, Route 119, Homer City, and open 24/7 at lutherford.com.
Cancer can strike any part of a woman's reproductive system. In America today, a woman is diagnosed with gynecological cancer every 6 minutes. Sadly, they are often not aware of the symptoms of reproductive cancer and do not find out about it until it is advanced. On Thursday, September 13th, the Indiana Regional Medical Center's Dr. Dan Clark and OBGYN Dr. Quinice Hurdle will host Until There's a Cure, Cancer Prevention for Women, at 6 p.m. at the Rustic Lodge. Please call 724-357-8088 to reserve your seat today for this important event. Ladies, with regular screenings, self-examinations, a knowledge of your family history, and certain lifestyle adjustments, you can increase your chance of defeating gynecological cancer. Please make that call today. It's free, open to the public, and complimentary refreshments will be available. Until There's a Cure, Cancer Prevention for Women at the Rustic Lodge, Thursday, September 13th at 6 o'clock. Presented by the Institute for Healthy Living at the Indiana Regional Medical Center. Call 357-8088 today. It's the Luther Ford Coach's Corner program. 50 years here on AM 1450 WDAD, 100.3 FM. It's 9:35, and I got to make a few editorial choices here. Not editorial, but certainly some choices programming-wise. I have a long recap from Mark Burdig on the game last night. I think, though, Ward Hilliard, I'm going to have to go with the shorter one so we can really get into this Homer Center game last night against the Purchase Line Red Dragons. You were there, Ward. The Wildcats and Dragons, not a whole lot of defense last night. Ball teams got out there and really got to it offensively, though, huh?
Well, they sure did. Some great running backs there. Josh Seister, for the Red Dragons, and Colin Gauncher. Nice 1-2 punch for the Red Dragons, and Homer certainly had Logan Williams out there, and he had a spectacular night. It really set the tone for the game. If anyone, when you were listening, the opening kickoff he got and took it back, and we were off to the races. It seemed to be so back and forth, and if you'll recall, a couple of years ago they had a game like that. It was 48-44 final, and it looked like this game was headed in that direction. I think a big turning point in that game, though, Todd, is start of the second half. Purchase Line had just come back and made it 22-20, and they got the kickoff, and Homer's D was able to finally slow them down, actually stop them, forced them 3 and out, and that kind of set the tone in the second half in the Wildcats' favor, and then they kind of took over from there.
Let's set the stage for our interviews. Mark Burdig has the recap last night, the Wildcats and the Red Dragons.
Logan Williams had a monster game for the Homer Center Wildcats, rushing for 295 yards on 15 carries, scoring 4 touchdowns. He started the game with an 83-yard kickoff return to get Homer Center off and running, although Purchase Line answered and took their only lead of the game on a Colin Gauncher 7-yard touchdown run. Josh Seister added the 2-point conversion. It was 8-7. Homer Center had a big second half, outscoring Purchase Line 28-8 after holding a slim 22-20 lead at the half. For Purchase Line, Josh Seister, a big game as well before having problems with cramps in the second half. He finished with 8 carries for 133 yards. Wildcats rolling up over 400 yards of offense, 484. Purchase Line, not a bad night either, 334. But they come up short. They're 0-2. Homer Center 1-1. Purchase Line hosts Marion Center next Friday night, while the Homer Center Wildcats will be back at home hosting Penns Manor. Again, the final from Barry Medill Athletic Field last night. Homer Center 50 and the Purchase Line Red Dragons 28. For your hometown radio station, I'm Mark Burdig reporting.
Well, there's Mark with his recap of the game last night. The interview that Mark did with Homer Center coach Greg Page, brought to you by Elba's of Homer City.
Alba's in downtown Homer City is proud to support Homer Center Athletics. Join your family and friends at Alba's and listen to all the Wildcats games this season. And while there, enjoy their great lunch and dinner specials and the coldest drinks in town. Alba's is a family-friendly restaurant. Everyone at Alba's wishes Coach Page and the Wildcats the best this season. Alba's is open for lunch Tuesday through Sunday. Their food is the talk of the town, and so are the Wildcats. Alba's, 221 South Main Street in Homer City.
Feels like it's time for last call. Head coach Greg Page. Boy, it was a long, long football game, but when you come away a winner, 50-28, not so long, right?
Absolutely right. We needed a win tonight. Long, humid night, closer. Humid out there, long night, long game, but we'll take it.
Your overall thoughts? Certainly things to be happy about, and yet, if you're going to be honest about it, things to work on.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. I mean, both sides of the ball. Our run defense at times was just not good. Our running the ball between the tackles at times was rough for us. Fortunately, we had Logan with a lot of his yardage outside the tackles, and he was able to work some things in the open field. And I thought Ben made some good decisions tonight throwing the ball. Defensively, though, I give Tony and the coaches credit. We adjusted at halftime, and the one play that was hurting us the most, I think we shut down in the second half. They might have got one good sweep out of it, but we moved some people around, and we bowed up, as we say. We got tougher.
More on attack mode as opposed to read mode. Is that accurate?
Yeah. That was a play we really hadn't seen them run on tape. You get a scrimmage, you get one game, and they blocked it well. They got a pulling guard out there, they got a lead blocker, and they got guys trying to wall it down, and they kick it out. But having said that, we had guys that were not being aggressive enough to come up and make a tackle. And then a couple times they broke big ones. We just missed tackles. And that's maybe, credit their running backs, but we got to be tougher.
They have pretty good 1-2 punch in Colin Gauncher and Josh Sleister.
They do. I mean, they're not real fast, but they run hard, and they make good cuts. I mean, they're not going backwards. So it was, and they both had injuries too, which, if they're both healthy the whole game, maybe it's not 50-28 or whatever it ended up, 50-22.
50-28, yep.
Yeah.
Coach, crazy playing this football game. It's 15-14 after Purchase Line scores. You ended up scoring on the same drive anyway, but how about an explanation on a 56-yard touchdown pass from Ben Schmidt or a parent touchdown pass to Jake Ciani? You're lining up for the extra point, and then all of a sudden there's a conference well after the play. There's no flags on the field, and they call it back. What did they tell you?
They wanted to get it right. That's what they told us. That they no flags were thrown. They had a confab. Obviously, their coaching staff was yelling for it, and they were right. I mean, we had a guy downfield, but the play's over, and nothing was thrown. And their comment was, "Well, you'll see it on film. We want to get it right." And I chirped a little. I said, "Well, I see a lot of things on film that don't get called." I said, "Are we going to go back and reverse those?" And that's probably not the right thing to say. They did get it right, to their credit, but I hadn't seen anything like that you just call penalty.
Well after.
Right. And
And then you had it's insignificant to the outcome, but after a 4-yard pass play to Logan Williams at 2nd and 6, you have an incompletion. It's 3rd and 6, except they set the ball back at 3rd and 10. What kind of explanation did you get there? They didn't want to get that one right.
He put it on the guy that held the down marker. He said, "Well, that's where he went and put the down marker." I said, "That doesn't make it right." I told him to blow the whistle before we started the next play. They talked about it for about 7 seconds, and nothing was really resolved there.
Well, how about Logan Williams? We interviewed him. Talk about the performance. One of the better ones you've coached, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, he got out. I think I remember Timmy Kinner getting 200 in a game for us. I don't know if we've had anybody individually approach 200 to get over that, but I had no idea he was even close. We might have kept him in to try to get to 300 just because that's a special thing. But, I mean, he was incredible in the open field. I mean, he's starting to learn how to run when he gets in the open field, meaning he knows it's not all speed now. The speed took over when he did get, into the secondary and made his final cut, but he was starting to to get the good vision, and that was good to see. It's a weapon for sure. We got to clean it up running inside between the tackles. That's a concern, but if we can spread the field like that with the way he ran tonight, I was really impressed. He did a great job.
On the downside, defense, talked about that a little bit. I thought kick coverage was horrible.
I won't say horrible. I think they had two. With Yoder where he had good returns. There was a couple other times we got guys down there and stuck them pretty good. But, we're trying to get our kicks to bounce good. You saw when the kicks bounce well, we have good coverage and we have guys get down there and it's minimal gains. When we kick line drives right at people, especially people who have speed, didn't work out so well. I remember two that really, bothered me, but I thought a few of the other ones we did okay.
Young freshman Justin Walbeck, kudos to him. Thought he did some good things.
He's a tough kid. I mean, it was one of those things with Mock being out. We have a couple other guys who've been working there. We moved Jake Hubler, a backup linebacker, who was 51. We moved him to work D end, and he helped us out there. But so you have Justin, you have Dakota Kulisar, who's played a couple positions on defense, but Justin moves well. Brock Henderson's been getting some reps there. But Justin, with his movement and his aggressiveness, has brought himself to be the next guy in that other linebacker spot, and he's got one gear. I mean, he was really tough tonight.
Finally, any update on Garrett Lock? We spoke yesterday when we did the interview. You were hoping for some positive news even earlier today.
Well, he did go to get the MRI today, which is pretty good considering it's within a week. I think he'll find the results out Tuesday. I would anticipate that we won't have him next week. That's just my guess. But again, we have to wait and see what exactly the MRI shows.
And next week, Penns Manor comes to Memorial Field.
Penns Manor is going to be a big challenge. You saw what a sweep play that happened to us tonight multiple times. They're going to try to get to the edge, and they do it well. We have to be very disciplined with our assignments, and we have to be able to block better up front. Speaking of the offensive side, they're going to be a challenge. But we're back home. Our guys need to understand the pride you play with at Memorial Field, and it needs to be better than it was last week.
Coach, congratulations on a good bounce-back win, 50-28 over the Purchase Line Red Dragons.
Thank you guys very much.
There's Mark Birdie. We're going to hear from Mark in a few minutes from Luther Ford, where he is set up this morning, enjoying the Luther Ford Coach's Corner program. But last night, Ward Hilliard catching up with the head coach of the Red Dragons, Matt Felisic.
Purchase Line head coach Matt Felisic joining me on Coach's Corner. And Coach, at the half, you talked about getting off to a good start in the second half. You were down only by 2, 22-20, but Homer Center made a stand, forced a 3-and-out, and things kind of went downhill in the second half for you.
Yeah, it went downhill fast. We ran 3 plays. I think we jumped on 2 of them, and then Josh cramped up, and a couple plays later, Colin cramped up, and we went to having, guys who never played fullback play fullback, and guys playing tailback. We haven't played tailback in a while, so we were limited there what we could do. But we just got to keep getting better.
Coach Page alluded to that during his post-game remarks, that it's probably not a 50-28 victory if not for those injuries. So they were both cramps.
Yeah, we had at one point in time we're counting off how many guys we even had that could go left of our first team, and I think we were down to 6, so we had to find 5 subs quickly to get in on the offensive line, defensive line, and linebacker. So we were running pretty thin, but that's irrelevant. You still got to be able to make a tackle on a sweep. They shouldn't be able to run a sweep for 60 yards, and we got to get better on defense.
You gave head coach Greg Page a dose of his own medicine. You win the opening coin toss and you defer. I'm not sure if that's something you typically like to do, but it kind of backfired because Logan Williams, who had a unbelievable night overall, kind of set the tone early in this football game.
Yeah, he ran really well, but I think we made him look really good. Like I said, the opening kickoff, I don't even think we touched him. We kicked not to where we're supposed to kick the ball. That was the first, that negative thing about that. We're supposed to kick it towards the sideline. We kick it right down the middle of the field. And then simple sweep plays, like I said, he ran hard, and we just weren't tackling anybody.
To your credit, after they jumped on you early with that kickoff return, you struggled offensively last week in the first half against West Shamokin, but you had to be encouraged because your offense bounced right back.
Yeah, we played 2 games so far, and the score is not even anything of what the actual outcome of the game was, even against West Shamokin. But I thought as long as our offense stays healthy, the whole game, I think we're in a shootout to the end, because I don't think neither defense is really stopping anybody until we got our injuries. And then, obviously you're not going to move the ball much with a 130-pound fullback.
Just concluding the game, you probably don't have a chance to assess it too hard without watching the game video, but anything on the defensive side, is it alignment issues or guys not wrapping up making tackles? What can you pinpoint?
We have guys in position. We're just not making tackles, and maybe we got to start hitting more during the week. But the problem is, you have 11th graders hitting little 9th graders, and they don't get any better hitting little kids. So we got to half line it a lot, and something that's messing up your the gelling of the offensive line and defensive line. So we got to find a way to get better. But I give our kids credit; they played hard to the end. Homer City played hard, and it was a great football game. Up for about 3 quarters.
Seister, up until that injury, he's on pace for a big game. He did have a big game, 133 yards rushing, but probably much bigger, obviously, without the injury. But Matt, I see some talent. I see your quarterback doing a pretty good job running the offense. I see a couple of running backs that have power and some speed. I see some younger players with some good skill sets too. So I don't think all is lost here despite an 0-2 start. I think it's just a matter of getting some more game experience, maybe growing from the confidence standpoint.
Yeah, Josh had over 100 yards at halftime. Second half he got the ball once because of cramps. He got the ball once, cramped up, and never went back in. So he never played the whole second half, which really hurt. Colin was running like a freight train, and he goes down with cramps. So he missed the whole half of the third and all the fourth, and that really hurt the defense, losing Colin out of there also. But the offensive line, they were into it. Our kids were excited. They played hard, and I give a lot of credit to them. We just got to get better.
Marion Center comes to town next Friday night. I'm sure you'll work hard to get the kids' minds in the right place, because you have to be in the right spot, right frame of mind to get the practice week off and running.
Yeah, Marion Center's come in. I don't know what the score was with him.
22-16.
Yeah, so they're going to, there's no slouchers in this league. It's going to be a battle next Friday, and our kids have to be up for the challenge. We'll reassess things Monday at practice and, see what we have and who we can put where to get healthy for Friday.
Exactly right. Well, I saw some glimpses of some good things. Hopefully you guys can get it all together, and I see some wins down the road for this Red Dragon team, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. We're young, but we're going to get better every week, and when you got a lot of 9th graders playing, a lot of juniors playing, that's good things coming in the future. But we'll keep working them and stay positive and see what happens next week.
That's Matt Felicic of the Purchase Line Red Dragons after a tough 50-28 loss at the hands of Homer Center. Ward and Todd Marino, we're going to send it back to you in the WDAD studios for more of Coach's Corner.
All right, Mark, thanks so much. I misidentified. Mark has Ward there. Mark only wishes he was Ward Hilliard, but Mark is actually with us this morning from Luther Ford on along Route 119 in Homer City. It is the Luther Ford Coach's Corner program. Mark, good morning again.
Good morning, Todd. Yeah, I wish Ward's bank account. Let's start with that, right? I mean, Luke Payne, the sales manager here at Luther Ford, he wishes he had our own Ward Hilliard, the Wildcat color analyst, his bank account. You've heard all about it, right?
I've heard all about it. He is a great. He makes some money. That's good. We'd all like to have that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He's just been packing it away for years. Hey, what about the big Labor Day weekend here at Luther Ford today? Unfortunately, you can't be open, or fortunately, depending on your own personal viewpoint, you can't be open tomorrow, but you will be open Labor Day Monday, right?
We are open Labor Day Monday, Mark. So here's what we got going on. We're going to continue that sale that we had from down at the fair. Great fair, good success for everybody down there. And some examples of the vehicles we had down there. We had a 2018 Escape with savings up to $4,300. We also had an EcoSport, 2018 EcoSport with savings up to $3,200. Now,
just real quick, that's that new smaller SUV.
The new SUV. Going over really well. Very flexible vehicle, great gas mileage for an all-wheel drive vehicle. So the one thing I want you to remember is, in addition to those savings we had down there, if you are a member, if you're a military, if you're a college student, if you're part of the Farm Bureau, and if you're a first responder, in addition to those prices, you get an additional $500 savings on all the vehicles we have here at Luther Ford.
Lou, thanks for doing this. You're going to be open 9 to 4 on Labor Day Monday. You'll be flipping some burgers and hot dogs, too, so somebody will be flipping them.
We will be flipping them. Come on down, grab something to eat, and grab some savings.
Todd Lou was shaking his head. No, not me. I'll be eating but not flipping. We're going to flip it right back up to Indiana to you, Todd. From Luther Ford, I'm Mark Burdick.
All right, Mark, thanks so much. I know that in that Luther Ford showroom, there are guys who are fans and residents of all the different Heritage Conference cities. There's Penns Manor people there, and, of course, Homer Center people there, Blairsville people. You never know who you're going to come across in that showroom, and I'm sure that they'll get some good Saturday morning debates after the actions on Friday night, huh?
Go on again.
It is the Luther Ford Lincoln Coaches Corner program here on WDID. Ward Hilliard, we have ensconced him in another studio here this morning. As we have been telling you, we've had a bit of a microphone problem here in our main studio, so we sent Ward down the hall. Ward, are you back with us?
I'm not sure what ensconced means, but if it's good, that's got to be me.
Yeah. Well,
and that financial thing is way overblown, trust me. Just ask my creditors.
Ward, as we look at our Hoss's Player of the Week this week, and again, congratulations to John Caldwell of Ligonier Valley. He was the Player of the Week last week for Hoss's, and last night he just goes out and he tops his performance from the week before by throwing a school record 6 touchdown passes. There were some tremendous performances last night, and it's so hard to pick. We just threw all the names into a hat, and we're going to have you pull one of those names out here in just a couple of moments, okay? All right, so the Hoss's Player of the Week brought to you by Hoss's Steak and Sea House. Ward is going to come back and tell us who it is.
Hoss's Steak and Sea House, Wayne Avenue, Indiana, is pleased to be the exclusive sponsor of the High School Football Player of the Week. Hoss's will announce the top player from all the area's teams and recognize them with a custom plaque acknowledging their accomplishment. The Hoss's Player of the Week award is just another way that Hoss's gives back to the community. If you're planning a party for any occasion, ask Hoss's about their free banquet rooms. Hoss's Steak and Sea House, Wayne Avenue in Indiana.
There you go, Hoss's Steak and Sea House, kind enough to bring us our Hoss's Player of the Week every week. And Ward, and like I said, we had a lot of candidates today. You practically pick anybody on that Northern Cambria roster, for that matter, the Ligonier Valley roster. There's Homer Center's Logan Williams. What did he have, 4 touchdowns last night?
4 touchdowns and 295 yards on just 15 carries. Terrific. My apologies to him as I pulled a name out of the hat, and it's Kyle Silk of the United Lions, who had 7 touchdowns and over 200 rushing yards. These guys are going to have their names pop up again, I'm sure, as the season progresses. I did call Logan Williams. I said last week he would be having some big games this year. Little did I know how big a game in the second one of the season.
Yeah, well, it is a holiday weekend, and evidently defense took a holiday this weekend because all of these guys putting up tremendous numbers. And yeah, the guys that score the touchdowns and pile up the yardage, they're the ones who get all the accolades, but they don't do it without the big guys up front. And so there were people moving defenders out of the way last night across the Heritage Conference.
Yeah, and, Logan did that in the interview. He complimented his line. Any good running back knows right away to say, hey, this guy's really blocked for me. Because he got 7 or 8 more games to go. You want him pushing for you.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, I want to remind you that our interview with Coach Greg Page of the Homer Center Wildcats is posted on our 1160 WCCS Facebook page. You want to see that interview, by all means, check it out. I think Mark Hilliard did some with John Caldwell of the Ligonier Valley Rams and Aaron Totino last night as well. That'll be on the U92 Facebook page. But let's look ahead, Ward. We've got a couple of minutes left here in this second week edition of the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program. The Heritage Conference next week has some big ones, and probably none bigger than Northern Cambria taking on West Shamokin.
Yeah, that's a battle. Both of those teams are considered strong contenders for the number 2 spot in the conference. So that's going to be a big early season game. And right now, I think the edge goes to the Colts. They've got maybe a little more offense than West Shamokin, but all that has to play out on the playing field. And Shamokin's defense very good. Could turn the tide in that ball game.
One of the things about that, it's going to be played on that fast track at West Shamokin too.
Yeah, and that is a gorgeous field.
Yeah, absolutely. So that'll be a game that everybody will be looking for. The West Shamokin Wolves hosting the Northern Cambria Colts next week. A high-powered offense there, and some pretty solid defense from those two teams as well. Another game of interest next week. Ligonier Valley is going to travel to United, the Lions, with a big performance last night.
Yeah, that's on their field, and they're certainly going to be fired up for it after the big night that Kyle Silk had. I think they're going to need to find, United is going to need to find some other weapons to complement him because Ligonier is so strong. I'm sure they're going to limit the amount of things that Kyle Silk can do, so he's going to need some help if they want to be competitive with that. But Coach Marabito, he'll get them ready.
Couple of those games where you shuffle the deck in the middle of the Heritage Conference pack and you try to figure out what's going on with who. The Penns Manor Comets at Homer Center next week.
I think it's a big game, but for both teams. I think they want to make some noise down the road, and certainly to get off to a 1-2 start puts you in a little bit of a hole. I think that both of them have strong enough programs that they can work their way back to 500 or a little better. So it's a game that is going to be hotly contested. It always is. I always say Penns Manor prepares as well as any team. Certainly the Wildcats do as well. So you're going to see a real interesting battle next week with some real talent on the field.
Neighborhood rivalries next week. One of the triangle rivalries, Purchase Line hosting Marion Center.
Yeah, and that's certainly the Dragons have the weaponry. They've just got to figure it out on defense. And Marion Center, Adam Rising's got them pointed in the right direction. A good effort last night in a loss, and I think that's not satisfactory to him. I'm sure that he wants to find some kind of offense. They scored twice on special teams. They need to get their offense cooking. If they do, they could be a formidable opponent.
All right, give me 10 seconds on Salzburg, Blairsville.
Wow. Good weaponry for the Trojans. The Bobcats defense needs to get shored up quickly. The Trojans are a big play team, and if Blairsville's defense doesn't get better, they're going to get burned on that. It's going to be a great battle, as you know, Todd. The rivalry's there, so a lot of good games next week.
I said 10 seconds. He took 20. That's the Luther Ford Lincoln Coaches Corner program.
Your favorite music station, AM 1450 WDAD.